Testi 1, 2. Testi 1, 2. Okei, katsotaan. Tää saisi olla isompi. Tää ei näy. Alrighty then. So, today I'm actually gonna do something really different. So, I'm gonna design a dungeon from scratch to use in a role-playing game. So, let's figure this out. I'm just still doing my setup here, trying to figure out all the elements. So for RPG use. So the problem that I usually have is, while I do tremendously enjoy stuff that are online, I usually use a lot of generators to make stuff up on the fly when playing D&D. Hold on. I'm multitasking, kind of talk and multitask at the same time. And now it's shared. Great. So yeah, what I usually do when I'm running D&D and we end up in a place that we need to go to a castle or a dungeon or a cavern or something like that, and even if I want like a small thing, I usually go to places like dungeon, which is one of my all-time favorite tools online, free tools online. And but there's a slight problem using these generators. If, for example, let's go here to 5e, random dungeon generator. Okay, so right off the bat, this is the type of dungeons you usually get. So something like this. A mesh of corridors and random rooms and paths leading to absolute nowhere. Like, for example, here, there's a room right here. It says it's 50 by 70 feet. It has one carrion crawler in it. And then there's a door, an archway, and some tiles, and a chute that falls from the corridor above. Why is this? Like, what is this? Who built this? That's the most common like question that comes up when I'm running games. People go like, I mean, who the hell built this thing? Like for example, here's a room, 50 by 90. There's one nothing inside it. There's a trapped and locked iron door. So a very secure door, and it's trapped. And behind it, there's a falling block. So there's a trap behind the trap door. Okay, well, there's a teleporter crystal. So some things the generators get right. But for example, this here. All of this just paths. So you got narrow corridors ending in doors with, and this is like, if you need something like really fast, you can generate something like this online, and then you'll be like, the problem comes with the fact that first, when you're running a game, you need to improvise all of the stuff in it, because for you it's just rooms on a map. So how do you make all of this interesting? Because you know nothing of these rooms. You know absolutely nothing. And your players will go like, well, what's in this room? And you will go like, oh, it's just an empty room, unless the generator has given you like a description. Like, for example, this room number 21, it is empty. There's a door leading into a corridor that is a dead end. What was this room? How did it come to be? Like, what's its purpose? So that's why I'm now going to design a whole dungeon from scratch. So few notes that I'm gonna write here. This dungeon will not be realistic. Not realistic. Because it's a fantasy game and a fantasy world. It's not supposed to be that realistic. Second of all, it's not structurally sound. That's a difficult word. I don't know why I chose it. I'll Google it. There we go. Not structurally sound. This again, this is because I am not an engineer. I know nothing about architecture. So I wouldn't know. I'm more keen on blowing things up than building things when it comes to structures. Also, not historic or not historically accurate, because again, I am not Shad from Shadiverse. I don't know a lot of things about castles and whatnot. I don't have, that is not my forte, but I do know about playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I think the biggest thing that it needs to be is that it makes sense, right? It needs to make sense. So while we're building this, we're gonna make up a story as we go. So first of all, who builds a dungeon? Let's say an underground layer. That type of person really, he either needs to be a subterranean race or some kind of that, or has some sort of secret, or maybe he's just a little bit off his rocker. But for this, we're gonna say the owner of the dungeon is a Baron Francis Petty. And Baron Francis Petty, he's completely up to here with dragons. He has a magnificent mansion or a keep, but for the last 10 years or 20 years it has been destroyed by dragons for I don't know, 3 times. So now we're getting there. Let's see if we can just make it a bit smaller so that people can still read it. There we go. Okay, so Baron Francis Petty decides that they will go underground. All right. Let's go underground. 1. So, all right, the constructing of his underground layer starts, and it starts with a simple hole. That's right, a simple, small little hole on the ground. So eventually the construction will go forth, and I'm just gonna try to make this work. So eventually he will have the first room of his dungeon, right? The workers are excavating ground from, or ground material from the rock and soil, and getting it out from under wherever he's building this. Let's say this has been maybe this has been dug under his whatchamacallit, his front lawn or something. So it's basically just a hole on the ground. They dig up the hole, it turns into the first room, right? Okay. So they start bringing stuff inside. They start bringing gear, whatever. So they need to. This acts as the first storage and the working space. But now the workers are gonna expand. There's that small corridor, and they will build their headquarters. So let's make like that. Yeah. So in here, come on. So here, this is gonna be like the construction office, or the supervisor's office. So they're gonna have few tables set up in here. They're gonna have a big table for all the workers to sit around and discuss the progress of the construction. Okay, so now they have some storage space here. They have their setup where they can plan ahead. So now we start bringing the workers in. So they need to sleep somewhere, okay? They're gonna build some rooms for the workers. Alright. So now we have rooms for the workers. These are all going to be like big bedrooms, bunk beds for the workers to sleep in. Then, because this is always being used for removing the soil, we actually need a storage. So now they need to have a storage space for all their equipment and tools. Then the head honcho of the excavation decides, well, he will be staying here as well. So he'll have a room of his own. So this will be the office of the boss of the construction. So he'll have tables, bookshelves, a bed. And this is the boss's office. And this is just storage space. So there's crates and abandoned crates and tools and whatnot. So what we have realized so far while designing this dungeon, we already know what these rooms have in them. Is it realistic? Probably not. Where do they get their air, their breathing air? How do they keep the place warm? Do they have fireplaces? Do they have chimneys? I don't know, but for the most part, it makes sense. Now, if you're living underground, building a underground layer for this barren pity, and you're living underground, if you need to take a shit, you will always have to go upstairs, right? You need to go through this hall to take a shit. So these these dudes, they decide that, all right, we need a shitter in here, and but it smells bad. It's underground. It smells bad. So what they do, they built a small shitter out here, but they really want to keep it separate. So they build a more small corridor. There's a shitter right there. All right. So now we can live there. We get food upstairs. Now we can get the building. So let's just say we'll move this. Let's put this storage over here instead. Too bad, now there's stuff laying around on the ground. Too bad, too bad. So, right. So now the crew is downstairs. And we're gonna start building here. So we need to get past these rooms. So they again build a corridor. And from here we'll have a dining room, a kitchen with a pantry, and because the chef will always be the one waking up the earliest in the morning, the chef will have its own dorm right there. So no, I don't want that. So this is a dining hall. We have big tables for all the workers to eat in. We have the kitchen. It has cupboards, a big prepping table, a stove, maybe an oven in the corner. There's a door to the pantry, door to the chef's dorm, and a big swinging door into the dining room. Obviously these all are gonna be connected with doors. Just, you know. Right. So where are we now? Right. So now we finally get to build the stuff that the Baron wants. So he wants to have his stuff safe underground. So we will now continue our corridor down here. And this will be a secure place for the Baron. So there's a corridor, there's a small guard post, and then he will have a what we would call a war room. So here's a guard post. Let's draw a guard. Here's a war room. The Baron will discuss his stuff with his royal subjects. Maybe there's bookcases, tapestry on the wall. So this is the first room to be used by the Baron. And it's gonna be fancier than the rest of this floor of the underground dungeon. Well, it's not actually a dungeon because there's no place for, So we have a room for the Baron. But the question is the Baron really gonna come through the hole on the ceiling that the workers use? No, he won't. So then they decide that let's have the Baron go around all of this shit and actually build him a staircase to his mansion or whatever that is still above ground. So we're gonna go here. And they have a place upstairs that they have designated for the place where the stairs go down. So here are stairs leading up. So again, worried about security. Here is a guard post, a gate room right here on this level. So if there's a gate room with a guard, they're gonna have a gate here, maybe a gate here. So now we have 2 portcullises in a dungeon underground. And this is a guard room. There's one dude guarding. They might be sleeping, but at least one dude is all constantly on the watch. I wonder if I can change this color without changing the other. So here is a window or something that you can see through, right? Okay, let's go back here. So now the Baron actually has a way to get into his underground lair. So this is the main entrance to the dungeon right here. But we can already see that we have another possible entry into the dungeon. We need to remember that this will the adventurers will probably come to this place after the Baron has already gone. This is an abandoned place, right? But we have stories for all of these rooms. So whichever room they will go in, you can go like, well, there's a big table, there's some old plates with moldy food, there's blueprints of the place maybe in this room, there's shit in here, you know, and stuff like that. So let's see. The Baron is still a bit slightly concerned about this safety. So if there was an incursion and a attack to his underground layer, he will have a trap laid out on this corridor. If they get through the guard and the portcullises and they start running this way, there's probably gonna be a trap on this corridor. So maybe this dude over here, he sees that, oh no, there's a gang of gnolls running through the corridor, so he can collapse the ceiling, or maybe there's a pit trap or something. Now there's a trap. All right. The construction continues. The workers will continue constructing this domain. Now they are spending a whole lot of time underground. So we need more facilities. So the corridor continues. The dudes are very messy. We're gonna need a bathhouse for the guard, for the staff, where they can clean themselves up. There's like, I don't know, 10, 20 construction workers, the chef, the waiter, few guards, and they're all using the same shitter, right? So what we're gonna do is, let's see, if they have a corridor here, here's a bath. So we'll have like, oh, that's not good. So we have bathtubs, maybe like a big pool, whatever. So from here, there's a big corridor. Words cannot do. Okay, it's this one. So from the bath, we're gonna have a corridor again to keep the stink out. Do a bigger and better latrine. We will have stalls for everyone. We're gonna have stalls for everyone, he said. So this is the shitter again. And well, obviously now that the Lord, the Baron, has made his presence felt, and he wants to, maybe he wants to sleep in here, right? So can you keep this like that? Yes, thank you. So the Lord will have big sleeping quarters. He will have his own bath, a storage for clothes and stuff like that. If there's a lord, if there's a baron living underground, he will need his personal servants, and obviously the servants will also have storage space. And as you could imagine, even the lord needs to take a poop. So he will have his own shitter. Well, the servants can either use that or they can also have their own shitter. But theirs can be closed because they are just servants. So so where are we at? Here. So here, I swear to God. So here is the huge ass bed of the Lord. His valuable clothes and all his fancy shit will be in the storage. There's gonna be his very own bathtub. Right. He's gonna have a toilet. Now here's gonna be a storage for the servants. There's gonna be an access door here, access door here. Now, you might start to think that there's quite a lot of shit here, right? They're basically drowning in shit. So now we're gonna need to place the shit somewhere. So the dude tells the boss of the construction workers that we need to fix this shit problem. There's a lot of waste, and again, you're constantly moving them above ground. So the boss of the construction workers, the foreman, the fucking foreman. It took me 45 minutes to remember the word foreman. So the foreman is going to excavate a cavern inside the bedrock that so they're gonna excavate a waste dump into the bedrock, and they're gonna have access from the shitters like right here. So now they're gonna have some poor man walking in these tunnels, collecting poop to dump into the excavated pit of goop. Right. So yeah, let's just type there. I could use letters, but I don't wanna. So this is waste. And well, the dude whose job it is to collect all the poop, he will have to get there somehow. So they will continue this corridor to the poop tunnels. All right. They have a corridor into the poop tunnels. And, well, they're still like, oh boy, there's a lot of poop. There's really a lot of poop. So they scourge the black market for a solution. And how do you spell it? Just a minute. So the Lord sent his right-hand man, Michael McJealous, but to find a Otyuk. Can we fit into this? Where is my text? Good for sir. So now there's a monster in the dungeon. They bought a Otyuk to eat up all the goop and the poop. And this is basically now a working thing. The Lord lives here now. The workers live here now. The waste is managed. But this was not what the Baron Francis Petty had in mind when he designed this. He wanted to have an extravagant place to live where the fucking dragons wouldn't destroy it all the time. So now that we're in this point, now the building of the actual dungeon begins, and this is where we get layers in our dungeon. So here's the main entrance. So the Baron is like, all right, this needs to be closed off. So here is a big ass door. It's locked, and we're gonna have a stairs here. I have stairs here leading to the second floor, where there's gonna be the actual base of the Baron, where he can bring all his guests. Sometimes English is just so hard. So let's say this level is complete, right? This part of the dungeon will be sealed. This locked door. And this is an entrance that nobody really uses. It will be hidden, covered up. So there's gonna be a secret entrance to the dungeon. Then maybe the Lord is slightly paranoid. There's only one entrance he can use. What if somebody attacks him? He needs to be able to make a quick escape. So, in his closet, there's gonna be a corridor that leads into the poop chute. And from there, it continues on. Hold on. Alright, so there's a secret door here, locked door here, locked door here, and after that, it will continue as a natural cavern. There's probably a storage space here for weapons and gear for the quick escape, and this leads to somewhere. This is the Baron's escape route right here. So there's also now we have three entrances, some natural caverns, a lot less corridors, a lot of rooms. So I'm just gonna quickly try to go over the entire thing. Alright? So we went from a dungeon like this, with all of these corridors and stuff. This design is built for gaming purpose. It needs to have corridors, for corridors to have traps. It needs to have separate rooms to have encounters with monsters. It has its purpose, but it doesn't make sense, right? So here, we started the excavating, building this dungeon from this room. Then they built this room for the workers, for the foreman, the foreman's office, the building supply storage, the construction workers' sleeping quarters, the first shitter. Then they expanded dining, kitchen, chef's quarters, pantry, bath for the dirty workers, and a bigger latrine. Then they brought in the Lord, Mr. Baron Francis Petty moved down here, so they have a war room, a royal bedchamber, a royal bath, a big ass storage unit for his clothes, his personal servant, the servant storage, servant's shitter, the royal latrine. They build an extra corridor and a staircase access for the Lord. This was shut down. There are guards guarding the war room, guarding the entrance. There are portcullises here guarding the entrance. And there was a lot of shit, so they built a waste tunnel and bought a Otyag to manage the waste. There's a secret escape hatch for the Baron, and now finally we can go to the second floor to continue his royal underground keep. So I'm gonna end this part right here. So this is original level. So this is the original level, and then we're gonna go on to level 2, which will be the keep level. So it's basically when you think about using it, like when the Lord lives there, the guests will come from above ground straight to the second layer. And this is gonna be eventually abandoned. And when you think about using this for an adventure, obviously you know, now that you've gone from room to room, building it as you go, you know what's in there. You know what the purpose of each room was, what there might be. It's easier for you to describe what's in there. We have a potential monster in there. The Otiak, he's been living from the shit. There's one trap, locked doors, and maybe something creeped up from here, ended up killing all the people. Maybe there are undead, maybe there are monsters. We'll come that to with the second level. Okay. So let's dungeon keep of Lord of Baron Petty. Right, so that's the end of that. I'll continue on with another stream when I have the time. I mean, the pandemic is continuing on. We are social distancing each other, so this was this, and we will continue on another time. So, goodbye.